everybody, welcome to Why We Love Horror 3.0, episode 73. I am JWMaher. That is Abby Brooks. That is Aaron Brooks. I'm excited for this week. How are you guys feeling?
I don't know. I think it'll be fun to talk about. I'm excited.
We're taking the turnbuckles off of this review. This is a hardcore match.
It's the most hardcore matches you'll ever see. In Dark Match. And that's Dark Match. Hey, I know you guys aren't as big of pro wrestling fans or pro wrestling knowledge as I have as a former professional wrestler, but I really am waiting for Chris Jericho to get back to 1995's level heights when he smacked Chris Benoit in the face in Japan and said, "Come on, motherfucker." I don't think he's ever been as cool as he was then, and Dark Match also still not as cool as he was then.
I have been a wrestling fan in the past. When they're at WWF and WCW, I watched in that era, so I did get to see some of the Chris Jericho, Chris Benoit, and other, or Chris Irvine, as he's known on the Letterboxd.
Son of legendary hockey player Ken Irvine.
Yeah, great. So I did used to like wrestling quite a bit. Not anymore. I don't think Abby's ever watched wrestling though.
Literally never.
Good for
That's
her.
fine.
Yep.
Abby, did this movie make you want to start?
No.
Okay.
But I don't know. It's not that appealing to me, honestly. So no.
That's okay.
Yeah, but
Well,
go ahead.
I guess just to take a crack at the synopsis, it's pretty straightforward.
Very.
It's a Canadian independent wrestling promotion, and it's very indie. And the promoter, who is Rory in Final Destination 2 for eagle-eyed people, same actor, gets called even further north in Canada to do a special private 5-match show on like a religious commune, and shenanigans ensue. That's Dark Match.
Yeah.
Yes.
I guess as the lesser fans than me, take away your first big takeaways from Dark Match. And should we throw up spoilers? Let's throw up spoilers.
Yeah, sure.
Just in case we say something silly.
I guess.
No, so I didn't I rated this movie kind of low. I think this movie did have some potential. The trailer that you showed was a lot cooler and a lot more insane than the movie actually is. I think the trailer is like 4 stars, honestly. But the movie itself, it's very, like, if you read the synopsis, it's very similar to, what is it, Green Room? Or at least it kind of seems.
It's got a Green Room feel to it. Yeah, I would definitely say
yeah.
that.
So that was my first thought. It's similar, but also not. I thought the wrestling part of it was interesting. Again, I don't really have a whole lot of interest in wrestling. I respect it for what it is. But yeah, the movie itself, there was interesting little things in it. I just don't think it really came together all that great. There's definitely a lot of good in it. In particular, I really liked the main girl. I saw she's been in movies before. I just haven't really, taken notice to her in them.
And apparently she was in Warm Bodies, so.
I saw she was really low.
I don't recall anybody looking like her in Warm Bodies.
Gonna have to rewatch Warm Bodies.
I think I'd remember her.
I liked her a lot though. I thought she was really good, and I think I'd like to see her do a little bit more. And I think Chris Jericho was having fun.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Aaron, your first takeaway before I get into a little bit more?
Yeah, so I was excited when I heard the premise of this. I thought it was a good premise for a movie. I'm like, how can you really screw this up? It's going to at least be okay. I'm the biggest hater of this movie on the panel tonight. The haters have arrived. It took a really long time to get to the wrestling, like a really long time. And maybe it was only 30 minutes, but here's the thing about time in a movie. It's not like the length that is, it's the pace that it goes at. And with this, we're learning, not really anything in these first 30 minutes other than that these wrestlers like to get drunk and fucked up, and they're wrestlers. Yeah, we get it. And then they're in the wrong place, and looks like they're not in Kansas anymore, whatever Kansas equivalent is of Canada. We're not in Canada's. But either way, Yeah, it. I thought the lead was fine. I guess like she was, and my favorite character in the movie by far is Enigma. I don't think it's even close.
He's great.
Like he is incredibly great in this movie, and a giant amongst men, in my opinion. He's mute. He's committed to the kayfabe, which is like very, very funny. One of the few times I actually laughed in this on purpose. And yeah, I mean, the wrestling matches themselves, I was very let down by, which we'll kind of get into them as we go here. It was like silly. I'm going to try to remember the names of all of them, but they supposed to be the elements, but then they pitched that after a while and just were like,
it was like the Captain Planet. It was like the Captain Planet elements because the last one is Spirit. Yeah,
and then Spirit and Inferno instead of fire, and Chris Irvine can't act. Like it's quite unfortunate.
I would say like my biggest complaint, I don't understand this. I don't know if Lowell Dean isn't a wrestling fan or doesn't understand wrestling, but Chris Irvine understands wrestling. So I don't understand why a guy that consistently puts on his own wrestling shows couldn't staff this cast with half a dozen serviceable workers. Would have been fine. Because I don't know if you watch, a lot of these wrestlers can and act definitely better than the actors they have to play wrestlers. It would have at least been the same level of acting, but better stunts. So I don't understand why they didn't just cast wrestlers in this movie. I don't get that at all.
Yeah, I think that would have been cool actually to cast wrestlers in this. I think it would definitely add a little bit to it and make it more authentic, honestly.
I'll say Stephen Ogg, I feel he has a good look. He's not like a hulking wrestler dude, but like I buy him as anything. So I'd keep him and I would just recast everybody else. Like I guess you can keep the girl too.
Not Mo Jabari in his film debut.
Yeah, I mean, maybe he is a wrestler, and maybe some of these guys are wrestlers. I don't know. It didn't feel like it. I'm telling you, like when you watch like The Wrestler, like those guys are all wrestlers and or went through intensive training for that role.
Yeah,
I did not get that feel at all in this movie. It was really like. It's like when you watch that, like Women of Wrestling, like where it's like we got these girls and like they all say they want to be wrestlers, so we train them over a weekend, and like here we go. That it was that level of wrestling in this movie.
Yeah, and it really, as the movie went along, like the Prophet, played by Chris Irvine. I'm going to call him Chris Irvine this whole review because I already respect him as an actor. He is Shang Tsung from Mortal Kombat. This whole movie is Mortal Kombat light, but it should have leaned more into being Mortal Kombat. Like it really just we should have skipped the first 30 minutes or made this movie a 60-minute movie, because now we are past the age of 90-minute movies and we need to be comfortable making 70-minute movies if they need to be 70 minutes.
Jagged Edge is way ahead of everybody, but yeah.
Well, yes, as you've been telling us for years. Yeah. But like honestly, if this movie was 70 minutes and got rid of 20 to 30 minutes of the front end and the very last 30 seconds of the movie, which we'll get to, and just leaned into this is wrestling Mortal Kombat, like I would have appreciated much more. Doubled the amount of matches, make it like 10 matches. I don't fucking care. I'm here for the wrestling. I'm not here for these storylines, honestly. And like more funny things like wrestling tag teams of thick and thin. That's funny. But I wish they would have made the thick guy thin and the thin guy thick. That's another slight. You could have made this a little bit funny. Instead, it's very serious. There's a lot
of like weird tweaks, like don't make any sense. Like the first match we have are the thick and thin, like religious zealot guys versus like the knockoff Legion of Doom guys.
Yes.
But those guys, the Beast Brothers, were with them. They traveled up with them. Then they get there and all of a sudden they are not with them anymore. They're like, it's weird. And I think this movie, like the wrestling matches, they kind of thought they were Saw. It's like, this is Saw now, but it's not.
Yeah.
Like every match had a gimmick, and the gimmick was deadly, even though some of them were less, like just making the ring wet, not really deadly, but putting a giant fan and bullshit under the ring, deadly. So the danger varies wildly, but they're all legitimate death matches because we're burying the lead that the leader, the Prophet, David, Chris Irvine, has uncovered some sort of thing wherein if they have 5 matches where 5 people die, they will summon the devil. That's
classic
that's what's really going on here.
5, the number of the beast.
Yes. And it turns out that there's like what's her name? Misbehaving is the main character. The Trinidadian. She's from Trinidad, even though she doesn't speak with a Trinidadian accent at all. But she's from Trinidad, and she's always wrestling Kate the Great, who's like the good guy, the good girl. But though in this match she's not, because we find out she's the daughter of the prophet, and all of a sudden, even though she's been promoted as the good guy, the entire movie she's really the bad. It's weird. There's a lot of weird things that you're just like, okay, whatever. I'm not here for this, but okay, whatever. There's a lot of that in the movie. You have to put up with a lot.
It was probably the dumbest, in my opinion, the dumbest reveal or whatever of the movie, and the dumbest fight too, because that was the fight where it's just kind of wet. But then I think they kind of set it up where the good girl is supposed to be bad. Like I just found that very obvious. It was just a really obvious reveal.
It's a very wet match with a lot of punching. It's a lot of punching.
Yes.
Yeah, and I do agree. Like, I was watching this movie and I was like, this is like Green Room at home a lot. And spoiler alert, I don't care for Green Room. I know that's a hot take. I understand that.
Get out.
Like, I'm not a big Green Room guy. I love Soleil, and this isn't about a better director right now, so I won't bring his movies into this. But yeah, I would take Green Room 20 times over this. So that's a high bar. Enigma, though.
Enigma gets to be in the blood sport match, like the Taipei death match, like where like it's just the ring's just covered in dirt.
Yes.
And there's broken glass everywhere. That's the match.
Was it Earth match?
Yeah, it was like Earth.
That was the Earth match. They just threw dirt in the ring, and the dirt magically vanishes for the fire match. But there's dirt everywhere and broken glass. That's the match.
Yeah.
The fire match is legitimately a fire match. It's not.
It was Inferno match, because that's when they ditched the elements. Halfway through, they got rid of the elements and just called it by names like Inferno and Spirit.
That's such a weird match too, because like it's like there's fire around the ring. They just have a giant flaming cauldron taking up 80% of the center of the ring. And
there's been fire matches in WWF before.
It's all around the outside of the ring. And Stephen Ogg's character, Mean Jolene, and the other guy, I forget what his name was.
Mean Jolene, a play on Mean Joe Green.
Yeah, Lazarus Smashley are just standing on opposite ends of the ring, just basically yelling over this fire at each other. Like there's no place to go.
Yeah.
Then the final match is the spirit match, because Mean Jolene wins and he has to face the prophet in like it's a steel cage match. That's all it is. Like, we go through this crazy shit to just lead up to a steel cage match.
Yeah, not even a Hell in the Cell.
Yeah,
like it's right there. Hell in the Cell is right there. Call it Heck in a Sack or something. Call it Heck in a Sack.
Heck in a Shack.
Yeah, just like, come on. This, I think that my little bit of remaining wrestling knowledge. I used to be very into wrestling, like I really did. So, like my wrestling knowledge, I think, worked against me in the enjoyment of this movie, because I know that wrestling can be cool and high stakes and a little bit dangerous. Like, they should have had Mick Foley as a consultant for this or something. Like,
should have been in it.
Yeah, well, I don't know how
he would have done it. Mick Foley, I'm not knocking. I love Mick Foley. I've met Mick Foley. I love you, Mick. I don't think he wouldn't have price gouged these people. No. Mick could have been in this movie.
No, and then there's like also this aspect where once in a while it changes into this like grainy 80s footage.
It's supposed to be set in the 80s, isn't it?
I think so, except all these people look like they're from 2024. That's the only problem with it being set in the 80s. Is when you make everybody, including old Mean Joe Green or Mean Jolene.
Mean Jolene. Her windbreaker was definitely the most 80s thing in the movie.
Yeah. But yeah, it's just like I was just like never. I've been more entertained by this conversation than I ever was with the movie. Like I was.
I'm gonna save the final reveal for you. So the bad thing is the good guys win, but they kind of unwittingly complete the ritual by accident.
Yes.
Winning. And Aaron, what happens?
So we're building up to this face-off, right? The face-off with the devil, the 6th match. That's the 6th match, I guess. And we do what any great movie does: is we show a horribly CGI rendered, like lizard demon green creature, and then she's like getting into her Avengers pose, misbehaving or whatever her name is, and Miss Jackie from WWF.
Yeah, that definitely the feel.
And she launches at the devil, and we fade to black, and my jaw became dislocated and hit the ground with how this is the way we're ending this 95-minute movie with 38 to 45 minutes of scenes you could have cut to make at least a good final showdown. We don't know what happens because this movie's ambiguous.
Can this woman in the middle of the tundra defeat the actual fucking devil in a fist fight? I don't think
The
so.
devil in Godzilla form. Also, just going back to my favorite character, Enigma. At some point, he suffers like a mild wound to the abdomen.
Yeah.
And he dies by, I believe, completing a drop kick and landing on the ground and then dies. Do I remember that correctly?
I feel he got like the Maximus Decimus Meridius death where he was dying the whole time. Like he was
in kayfabe. He never talks.
Yeah. No, the only word he says is kayfabe, which you're right is the best part of the movie. Like he fakes his own death so that and then he wakes up and he's Rambo for 5 minutes and he dies. Enigma Jones rules.
Oh my God. Enigma was incredible. I was glad he made it to the end, unlike a particular character from Companion, who is the best character that they killed first. And you'll see another similarity to Companion in my ratings.
Well, let's get to it. Oh, wait, let's pull those spoilers down first.
Spoiler, I didn't like
I can't do that. Then let's you know what? Let's go ahead.
All right. I will start off here. We'll start with the negatives and we'll move our way up to the roaring positives here. If Lowell Dean Lowell, whatever your name is, Lowell Dean, I know that's your name. Super Wolf Cop and Return of Super Wolf Cop or whatever other directing movies you did. Listen, if your goal for this movie is for people like me to stop calling wrestling fake wrestling, I will never use that term again if I don't have to watch a movie like this. Like, please just leave me alone, wrestling fans. I swear I will leave you alone forever if I just avoid movies like this. I did not like this movie. I don't like rating movies low, much to the chagrin of some people or to dismay. I don't know. But it's a 1.5 videotapes, not even a 2 for me out of 5. And yeah, this movie is like worse than Mortal Kombat Annihilation, but it like kind of tries to be like Mortal Kombat Annihilation. Chris Irvine as Shang Tsung does not work. Alicia Issa, she was fine. Like she wasn't as bad as the rest of the people, I guess. And Enigma is the reason to watch this movie. Enigma is a star. I hope if there's a second dark match, then I
Dark
hope
Match 2.
Dark Match 2, the return of Enigma. I like Enigma is just the only saving quality of this movie for me, and a few of the like wrestling moments with the wrestling. But before that, the first 30 to 40 minutes, people complain about found footage being boring and making you care. This movie is like the worst of found footage with like trying to get you to care about these characters. There's no like depth created in these characters. I don't care about any of them. I just wanted to end. And when it ended, I didn't want it to end because I wanted to see that damn devil fight. That is bullshit. I'm spitting on my computer.
Abby, what do you got?
So yeah, I didn't dislike it as much as Aaron did. I thought again there was definitely potential. It definitely felt like there's like the underlying message that you hear in the trailer where it's like I feel like this was just a wrestling fan who wanted to be like, see, like wrestling is not fake. And that was the whole point of this movie. Again, the ending is definitely disappointing, and this could have been better. So it's 2.5 for me.
Yeah, I'm not saying this is a great movie. It's not even the best professional wrestling based horror movie I've ever seen. WrestleManiac, I believe, is better than this. But I put it right on the edge of like movies I will endorse. 3 and like a heart with a question mark. If you like wrestling, you're gonna be entertained enough. I think enough people like Stephen Ogg. I think enough people like Chris Jericho, Chris Irvine. I think enough people like wrestling. And if you like wrestling at all, you will probably feel the same way I do. It's fine to okay. And that's Dark Match. Not a ringing endorsement from this crew here, but it is what it is. But better movies are in the Why We Love Horror Challenge, though. That's the website right there. And unlike last year, it's not really ambiguous. That's how you get there.
Oh.
This week, watch a movie from the 1930s. Very simple. I know Aaron and I watched the same movie.
Yes.
I enjoyed it a lot. Aaron, I think, enjoyed it slightly less than I did, but we both watched The Most Dangerous Game. Did you watch it too, Abby?
No.
Okay, so Aaron and I watched The Most Dangerous Game. 60 minutes and a couple seconds? Crazy.
Yep.
They don't make movies like that anymore.
They sure don't. Dark Match could have used that.
If Dark Match had been the length of The Most Dangerous Game, maybe you could bump up a little bit. Most Dangerous Game is like, it's just perfect. It's perfect to me. The only drawback is it could have used the choreography that was in Dark Match. If the Most Dangerous Game had Dark Match's choreography, it's a 5-star movie.
Most Dangerous Match.
The Most Dangerous Match. And any other comments on The Most Dangerous
Leslie
Game?
Banks, incredible as Count Zarloff, I believe is his name.
Zarloff, yep.
Very, very good. My one little drawback of it, I actually increased my rating to a 4 thinking about it, but my one drawback is I want a little more of the hunt aspect of it. So I do think like this is just a story that I know has been told many, many times at this point, but it's such a classic, just tailor-made story for a good movie, in my opinion. So I thought that the way it's shot does not look like a 30s movie at all. Frankly, until
they start fighting. It looks good until they start fighting. Until they start like
slap fighting.
Boxing. Until they start slap fighting. Yeah.
That's just how they fought in the 30s. Like,
man. If I could go back in time to the 30s, I'd be like the heavyweight champion of the world.
The fist was not invented until 1940.
Yeah. Abby, what did you watch?
So I watched from 1931 Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde, which I thought was very good. I'm realizing there's a lot of different versions of this movie.
Is that the Spencer Tracy one?
Maybe.
Let's find out. Keep talking. I'll find out.
Yeah, no. So it's been made many different times. I don't know how they differ, but this one was actually really fascinating.
You got the Frederick March one, which he was nominated for an Oscar for. Yes.
I think he won actually for this performance. Or at least I thought I read that. But yeah, he's very, very good in this movie. There's a lot of really cool things that they do with the camera in this movie, and then also with like effects / makeup. It's very subtle, like the transformation between the two alter ego people. Like it's not like a really loud and like boisterous type of transformation. It's just very like, I don't know, you'd have to see it. I thought that was very cool. And there's a lot of like commentary about like very serious issues that I did not realize was going to be in this movie. So I thought it was just very surprising, very like forward thinking for like a movie from the 30s. So I really enjoyed it.
Horror that can be political or have themes? Yuck.
It's too woke. It's too woke, 30s. That'll do it for this week of Why We Love Horror. If you made this far in the video, like, comment, subscribe, and share. Go to the Facebook group at Why We Love Horror. Go to that website. Join that. We'd love to hear from you. We'd love to know what you're doing this year in the Why We Love Horror Challenge. Schedule's always the same. Sunday, Why We Love Horror TV. Mondays versus Thursday, you are watching it, Why We Love Horror. Friday, Why We Love Horror. Trivia, I think this week. This is the week we're doing the Luis and Eric match. It'll be up. Check that out. Next week, Hard Eyes, I believe, here on Why We Love Horror. Until next time, I'm JWMaher. That's Abby Brooks right there, and that's Aaron Brooks right next to her. And we will be back next week with more Why We Love Horror.